Testing. It looks like this one's picking up the mic today. I meant to use the Blue Yeti, but set up wrong. It happens. So welcome back to another weekly AMA. For those of you who are new to the channel, welcome. For those of you who are returning, thank you. We are back once again. So every week I like to do an AMA talking about a subject and then answering questions. This week is a little bit of a particularly unique week. I am starting a new job on Monday. I've been out of commission for about 6 to 8 weeks, somewhere around there in total. My last role I was laid off at, and now come Monday I'm starting a new role. So pretty exciting stuff. I will be making more money, better benefits, working with different technologies. I'll be doing full stack JavaScript and a little bit of cloud and DevOps. So I'll be picking up quite a bit at a company I hope to be at for quite a while. So pretty excited about it. So let's talk a little bit about what you need to do mentality wise when you are starting a new role, because it's not like a typical job where some things don't change. When you start a new role, you got to meet people, you got to put a smile on your face, you have to show them your representative and not necessarily yourself, if that makes sense. It's kind of like dating when starting a new job. And then things get easier, you loosen up, you sort of show a little bit more personality, and you find out who the real individual is on both sides. But so that's the stuff that's going to be standard in pretty much any organization, any job. But when you start a new job, there's a couple things you need to understand. One, you have to understand very quickly who the brightest people are. And what I mean by that is because those are the people you want to get closest to, because your goal should always be, no matter where you're at in your career, to get better. And so you want to learn from these people. You want to understand. And because sometimes early on in your organization, you'll have the ability to choose which team you go on to. I'm not saying that's my case, but it could be your case where they might be jumping around teams, and you want to be on the best team that you can so that you can be the best dev that you can be. Now, cheers to you guys. This is unsweet black tea. I've been loving it. I've been drinking it all day. That's why I drink a lot of times when I'm trying to kick a Monster energy drink habit. I just drink like a gallon of black tea a day. But yeah, the next thing is you want to get up and prepared. You want to get settled. You want to make sure that you are you get up and running as quickly as possible. Some people, sort of the average adage is that you should have 3 months to get going. Really, I think it's like 4 weeks. 4 weeks up and running at the most. I think that should be your mindset. And things that you're already comfortable with, great. You'll review it as you keep going, and things that are new, that's what you're studying, that's what you're getting better at. So like for me, some things that I need to review on is REST standards. When building the APIs, I need to review on SQL. I need to review MongoDB. I need to review and learn some DevOps. And so these are things that I plan on learning and plan on growing. And especially in the first couple of weeks of any organization, oftentimes you may not even be writing code. You're going to get up and running, get your environment running. Maybe they don't have your laptop yet. Maybe they don't know what to do with you yet. They're like, hey, we just got him. He's great. He actually showed up, because something like 40% or 50% of people who sign contracts don't show up the first day at work. And then the other thing is maybe you have that cushion time to learn. Take advantage of that in your first week or two, so that when you do get a project, you're already ready, you're already set, you're good to go, because that's important, right? It's always important to get up to speed as quickly as possible, because at the end of the day, companies don't employ you because they like you. I mean, they do like you, which is why they hired you, but they don't employ you so that they can, be your friend. They employ you so that you can provide value. They employ you so that you can make them money, so that you can further their cause, whatever they may be, which is usually make them money. um, you know that's why you have a job. That's why they work with you. And you need to continue to improve. You need to continue to grow, and you need to continue to be good at what they hired you to do. Because as you move forward in your career, you're oftentimes get hired for things that you're not fully qualified for. If you watch my video today, one thing I talk about is being a great specialist. So once you can prove that you're an expert specialist, it's very easy to understand that you could be a good generalist, because once you've already mastered one technology, it's much easier to go and master another and another and another, because you've learned the skills of learning. You've learned the skills of improvement. You learned the skills of getting better. And to a lot of organizations, that's a very impressive thing. That's one reason that a lot of devs consider themselves taught, and why so many organizations are very happy with self-taught individuals, because they didn't necessarily have anyone guiding their hand. They didn't necessarily have anyone telling them do this, this, and that. They had to go and try things and figure it out and do it the hard way a lot of times, which may or may not be the best course of action. But what's certain is that if you get to a certain level of proficiency that way, you've learned the good ways, you've learned the better ways, and you've learned the bad ways. And hopefully you decide to go with the best ways. So keep that in mind. So with that being said, guys, a couple tips for starting a new job, something I'm doing. I'm happy to answer any questions I can, for the most part. And let's see what we got going on here. So thank you, Caesar. I appreciate that. Caesar's been grinding for a while, man. Keep up the good work. Drew Staples, you're a big inspiration. Thank you, man. Not really my goal. My goal is more so to share my journey, from pizza delivery driver to successful developer. I mean, it's kind of crazy, right? When you think about it. Like right now, my side hobbies include I'm doing a software podcast, I'm writing a software book, I'm working on an actual software side project web app that I plan on launching. I have my YouTube channel. I have the Facebook group. I don't really consider that a side project. It's just something I've launched and sort of maintained. Um, but then there's like I'm building courses, I'm networking, I'm doing all that sort of stuff that you're supposed to do. And like I'm looking at buying investment properties again. It's sort of crazy how life has flipped its head upside down. But yeah, congrats, Dylan. I'm on your 100 algorithm course. So far, so good. I'm learning a lot. I'm glad you like it, Natasha. I think it's a fantastic thing. I think it's, as far as algorithm courses go, I think it's one of those items that we expose you to so much that I don't claim to be the best at solving algorithms. I don't claim to be able to solve them with the most scientific sort of knowledge and background. But what I hope you get is exposed to quite a bit, and hopefully you've learned something as you go, and you can now get better at these, because it's a crucial skill that you're gonna have, which is how to think like a developer. And algorithms really test that. So we got two questions here on how to deal with a crappy team. Well, it sort of depends. Ideally, in a perfect world, you'd like to raise these people up. If you go onto a team, or you are on a team, maybe you've been on a team for a while, what's your job? What your job is to do, regardless of where you're at in the organization, is try to make them better. Try to make the company better. Try to make the team better. Try to raise everybody up. And so, how you do that is a couple different ways. One, you happen, developers are typically most of the time, intellectuals. And what that means is they like to have debates. Um, and so what you can do is have friendly debates, conversations, talking about the pros and cons of a better, how to make the team better, pros and cons of how to make the code better, pros and cons of pretty much anything you want, and just have a healthy, friendly conversation about that. Another way is, if it's code related, you have a pull review process, or code review process. That's going to be where you're going to be able to leave comments on the code, refer to things, and try to make your teammates get better. Try to make your teammates include have your teammates see the things that you're seeing that they're not. And you know, if we're using the crappy term as in terms of like maybe quality of developer, not quality of person, because those are two different things. Um, that's how I would tackle it, just by open conversations, code reviews, and mentoring. So one thing I I like to do is not only listen, but also listen and learn, but teach and educate. So that's one thing that you can do as well, is just sort of try to mentor other developers. So that's how I would tackle a crappy team. Now, if you're on a crappy team, as in environment, as in team members, as in their personal, um, maybe personality might be a better way of going about it. A couple things is honest conversations if you think it can be resolved. If that can't be the case, you can always ask to transfer to another team or have a third party enabled. If it's the actual entire company, you just got to move companies. Sometimes that's just the way it is. You're not going to be, no one man is going to change an entire company. You just don't have enough hours in the day. And oftentimes that's coming from the top down. So culture is set very systematically by what the person at the top wants, tells it to these people. If these people don't start implementing what they want, what this person wants, they get out and they get someone who does it. And that just keeps, it's a trickle down effect when it comes to culture at companies, for the most part. I started a YouTube channel to help my presentation skills. I have 2 vids so far, but I want to improve my speaking and video layout. Do you have any notes you refer to? Do you wing it? So I'm a little bit unique in my video recording because I very seldomly take notes. When I do, it is like 5 or 6 just sort of general ideas. Like my senior dev video, I'll read off to you what I have right here. What it means, code quality, communication, good generalist, expert specialist, architecture, initial project start. So those are my entire notes for that video I recorded today, which was like 15 minutes. And those are just like key things I want to have points about. The reason for that is the type of style of video I want to put out there is a very authentic video. It's not something that I want to be very rehearsed. It's not something that I want to that's what I'm looking for. I want to be very organized almost, because life isn't organized and neither am I. That's not really how I roll. I'm a very let's do it one time, maybe two time type of guy. And if it comes out good, great. If it doesn't, I don't put it out. That's sort of how I look at it. Now, for you to improve your speaking and video layout's completely different than your speaking skills. But what I would say is, what aspect of speaking do you want to have? Do you want to improve your eye contact? You look at the camera, just make a mental note. It's not something I've ever really worried about, because when I'm in person, that's when your eye contact matters. You know, is, is this better? Do you guys feel more loved? Um, thank you, Ash Sayad, for the 200 rupees. Am I getting that right? 200 rupees. I appreciate that. If you want to improve your personal speaking skills, one thing that you can do is just have a script and figure out how to eliminate ums. It's something I've done in the past. It's not something I'm too worried about nowadays, but it becomes very hard. You see how I'm trying to do it right now, but it becomes very hard, and you have what feels like an exceptionally long pause, which in reality isn't that long, but it feels like it in the moment. Kevin M brings up another great point, that if you want to get better at public speaking, Toastmasters is an organization, something I've thought about going to in preparation for giving talks at meetups and conferences, which is one of my goals this year. I think that was one of my goals. It might have been going to conferences, but I think I said I wanted to do one talk at a meetup. Something I've thought about doing in the past. Remember me when I told you I donate when it's possible? Long time follower. Good for you. If you got a dev job, yes, Sayat. Can you speak a little bit about the book you're working on? Yeah, definitely. So the book is a free writing book where I am just writing a paragraph or two at a time when it comes along, and so a lot of it is, I did a video about senior what it means to be a senior dev, let's write a section about what it means to be a senior dev. And how I'm going to look at my book is it's going to cover software engineering, and it's called, right now, the tentative title is called Going Rogue, the Self-Taught Developer's Playbook. And so the goal of the book is to teach you a couple things. One, it is to teach you how to be a good developer, and two, it's going to teach you how to be a good self-taught developer, or three, it's just going to educate you about being a developer. Those are really the goals. And by doing that, I'm just going to be talking about as much stuff as possible. And as I see it, about a third of the book's going to be dedicated to becoming a good self-taught developer, and everything else is just going to be an education process. These are sorts of things that I'm going to cover, and what I, excuse me, how I want it to, how I envision it is it's going to be about 200 topics, 200 topics, about a blog piece each. It's going to have a lot of personal stories. I've shared a lot of my stories on here. So some of these might be familiar to you. Some of these, I've shared things like my stance on negative role models, for instance, and how that's motivated me about the type of man I want to be, and never being that senior dev that says something to an aspiring developer like, oh, I didn't know a pizza boy could do coding tutorials, things like that. Stuff that I wouldn't say shaped me, but forever in my memory, that I don't want to be that type of man. I want to be the man that raises people up around me, does good, and you know, it's sort of like occasionally you have friends and family who want to hate on other people, and part of it is they're still upset. My greatest there will always be people who do you wrong in life, and the greatest victory you can get is just doing better than they are. Um, One, it doesn't take your time, effort, and energy on worrying about people who are small and petty, and two, you better your situation, because you know what upsets people who are small and petty, other people's success. So if there's someone small and petty in your life, the best thing you can do is just have a smile on your face, cashing fat checks, having an excellent life, and being happy because they're not happy. Um, that's how I like to handle those situations, and so um, that's what that's the premise of the book a little bit. It's going to be about being a self-taught developer, and about learning, about growing, introducing you to skills and topics, and um, soft skills and things that I think are important. You are the man, Dylan. Says Raven. Well, thank you for that. I work 50 hours plus a week in a warehouse, and my work days are 15 hours long. I remember those days. It's um, seems like I forget more than I learn. Any advice for retention? So I imagine that it's quite hard to have consistency when you're working 15 hours a day. Because what I recommend is 3 to 4 hours a day until you have a job. With that, you're at about 6 hours of sleep a day at best case, probably closer to 3 or 4. Um, so what I would say is try to get 2 hours consistently a day and go from there. It's going to be hard with that sort of schedule. You might have to figure out how to bring that down to a normal 40-hour work week. I did it with a 40-hour work week, and then YouTube also as a side thing. But YouTube was also part of the learning process. Um, Good luck, Eric, with your QA program. How is the investment property? Unfortunately, we had to move on from the investment property situation, so we're still going to be looking. We're probably going to put it on hold since we're looking in a different area right now. But I would say we'll probably start looking about 3 to 4 months again. I'm sort of keeping an eye out for any apartment complexes or duplexes or even single family homes that are just deals, and like swoop on that minute. But as of right now, nothing has really caught my eye. But lot of stuff going on where I kind of just want to get into this new job, get a paycheck or two, and move forward. So probably about 3 or 4 months we'll look at investment properties again. Dylan, your advice on stop watching depressing news has definitely helped me. I'm focused on learning and looking at stuff that picks me up. Yeah, it's a the thing is you want to be positive, and I'm not telling you to ignore the state of the world, but oftentimes the state of the world is exaggerated. It's all negative because that's what catches people eyes, right? It doesn't matter what industry you're interested in or what thing you're interested in. So what I would say, like I give you a basic example. If I did a video about how JavaScript is going to die in 2020, it'd probably be my most watched video. If I did a video about how JavaScript is going to explode in 2020, it'd get a third to a fourth of the views. And that goes for anything. So what I would instead tell you is be selective. Be selective about what it is that you're learning and what it is that you're watching. If you want to learn about finances, go pick and choose some finance videos. You want to learn about code, go pick and choose some code. Just don't let whatever is sent out to you be sent to you. Go and be selective. And that's another point, is like a lot of this stuff is just thrown at you because that's what the majority wants, and it may not be relevant to you, and you may not be able to have any impact on you right now. So how important is trivia / trick questions about your language of choice, and does not knowing equal interview failure? I would say, I don't know that there's too many trick questions. If you don't know the answer, just say you don't know. But trivia, you should know what your language does. If I ask you what are promises in JavaScript, you should know that. And if I say, how familiar are you with async await, and you should know that. And if I ask you what the difference is between var, const, and let, you should know that. These aren't things I consider trick questions. If I ask you for CSS, what are some ways you might handle responsive design, you should be able to say, well, I used to use the Bootstrap column grid system. Nowadays, I use CSS Grid and Flexbox. You should know these sorts of things. I wouldn't say these are trick questions. I would say these are broad stroking questions that just see if you're familiar with some core technology. What is my salary? My salary is 115,000 with a 13% bonus, and then there's some other ways I make some money. But yeah, that's my base salary. What did I learn to use data structures? Well, data structures in JavaScript is pretty easy. You have arrays, you have objects. And nowadays you have like maps, and I think they added something else. But for the most part, I just did algorithms to practice them. Hey Dylan, I'm 19 years old. I started learning Python, but the problem is I don't know where I'm going with that. So any ideas? Well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do data science? Do you want to do web development? What is it that you are looking to do? Decide on that, and then go figure out what technologies are important for that. Could I make a video about going over your skill set on your resume? How did you describe your skill set on your resume? If you watch my video about it's my second most recent video, how to get more callbacks and views from recruiters, in there you'll see my resume. So I showcase my resume in there. Yeah. I think it's good. So my resume is one of those things that has gone through several iterations, and something I'm constantly maintaining. The reason for it is I want to make sure that it's always looking like the new hotness. Can you explain testing? Is it just a way of finding bugs in your code? Well, it can be if you've already written the code. So there's stuff called test-driven development. We won't get into that. But what I would say is that testing is there to make sure that your code doesn't break. So the reason for it is pretty much every work environment is going to be an agile environment. And what that basically means is that you're going to be doing many iterations. You're going to be doing fast development. You're going to be doing rapid development. That's what it means to be agile. And to do that, you have to have a nice suite of tests. And the reason for that is, say I'm on this team, but I'm new to the project, and I change this one line of code. That one line of code could break everything, and you might be very worried to make that change. Um, and what would give you more confidence in the code is if you had a test suite, a bunch of tests around the code that tested the functionality, meaning you had unit tests that said, hey, when I run this code, nothing breaks. Isn't that fantastic? And what is this? Apparently, I'm walking around too much up here. April's like, "What are you doing up there? Playing Dance Dance Revolution?" I was like, "No." But yeah, so that's what tests are there. Tests are there to give you confidence in the code to make sure that you are not breaking existing functionality and making sure that uh, your your making sure that your new functionality works as intended. That's what it's doing. There's different types of testing, but yeah, no, this is my headset I use just for like wireless when I'm walking around the house. I meant to use the Blue Yeti here, which is normally what I record in. Um, but apparently I didn't set it up properly when I did the live streaming. You thought these streams were only on Friday? Look, man, when you live that thug life like I do, some days you're writing a software book, some days you're working on a side project, hacking away. You never know when a live stream might happen. You got to go because tomorrow may not be there. All these junior devs try and take them senior devs out. Yeah. Some days you're sleeping on the couch because you're too tired. You got a dog licking your face. Damn near have a heart attack because they put Visual Studio Code in the browser. You don't know about these things. Yeah, I don't know. New Dolan video. So here's the thing, guys. I've tried to do a Dolan video. I just can't. I haven't found the passion. It's coming though. Yeah, I know. I know. I do love me some homemade pizza. Don't get me wrong. Although I'll take a frozen pizza real quick over a little bit extra work. After learning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, should you pick up a front-end framework first? Yes, that'd be my advice. I think my cat at the door. I heard this little squeak. No. Let's see here. I graduated with BA Math 5 years ago, but never worked in that field. I want to make a comeback into data science. I figure I would start learning Python SQLs. Good start. Sound good? Yes. I would also just suggest doing like a little boot camp, like a Udemy, or excuse me, Udacity. Doing something like that. Hey man, about 1 year ago, you made a video at night out with your colleagues and involved a lot of drunken talk. You guys like that one, man? That live stream where I was just like, every once in a while, I get someone who comments on that goes back. It's like, dude, I go back and watch this about once every 3 months. um, isn't that awesome? VS Code in the browser. Why do you need VS Code in the browser? That's my question. I don't know, man. Yeah, it's cool, I guess, but I don't know. I'm glad you like it, object object. What should I learn to be a web developer from zero? I'm 19 years old. HTML, CSS, JavaScript, JavaScript framework, Git, test suite, Agile. That'd be front end. As a junior looking for the first job, I accepted an offer through email, then pulled back saying the finance and leadership need to discuss if they can pay for the position. Is that normal? No. I wouldn't tell you not to take the role, but I would say don't don't expect that you would maintain that job for very long. I encourage you to look elsewhere shortly. If I was to interview a junior developer for a front end role, what would I expect? Uh, what what skills would I consider impressive? If they've worked with progressive web apps like client side caching, service workers, if they're up to date on JavaScript and various projects. So, like, if they had a unique project. I'm using Glassdoor, LinkedIn, and Built in Colorado. Are these good? I've never heard of Built in Colorado. LinkedIn is typically how I would apply for jobs. ZipRecruiter is one I used to use quite a bit as well. Hey Dylan, I have an old project that's literally a 300 line index.js file. It looks rough as hell, but the project was a major success. Would an employer want to see this? Yes. What I would suggest to you is go and refactor that now that you're a better developer. Being a software engineer, do you work with data science or machine learning teams? I have in the past. I don't know about my future role, but I have in the past, yeah. A lot of times you'll want a lot of times companies will want a visual representation of the analytics that the data science team is putting together, and that's where I come in. I got you, bae. What you need? You want graphs? You want pie? You want other charts? We can make it happen. Well, being a full stack developer increase your chances of getting your first dev job. Yes, you'll have more skills, and thus you'll have more opportunities to apply to. Have I ever considered game programming? When I was very young, there's a couple things, industries I would never go into, and game development is one of them. And I don't think I'll ever go back into marketing as well. I've worked at two marketing companies. One I was there for a little less than a year and a half, and the other was for 4 days. So I don't plan to be at one for one day. So I think marketing companies are axed off the list moving forward. Uh, What's so bad about the game dev industry? You could just do a Google about bad news at game devs crunch time and how people are crying in offices and stressed out of their mind nonstop. It's just a industry wide culture thing. Why do so many course creators talk about 40-hour long courses that all they do is stammer and stutter and make mistakes throughout the whole course that makes it 40 hours long? I think that's a little bit of a overstatement. Why haven't you ever tried to establish yourself as a freelancer? I make good money. I mean, I make 57.50 an hour, and then if you were to count my benefits, it's probably another 60 grand a year. Um, I thought about it. I mean, I think we all think about going off on our own and doing our own thing. Um, Probably how I would do it is I'd have a bunch of passive income saved up. I'd be renting out all these rooms, free rolling my mortgage, and then I wouldn't necessarily have to worry about bringing in a bunch of money. And then I'd just work on side projects. I'd probably rather do that than freelance. Yeah, I would say up to date in how um, well a individual knows JavaScript as well as the latest features, and that goes for the other core technologies as well. So I would test them on. Do you think it's worth the learn and pay for an AWS Dev Cert on your own just to put on your resume? I think it's one of the best certs you can get. I'd also encourage people to look into getting Agile certifications. Yeah. When I say it's flooded with bad devs, what constitutes that? What do you mean? Expand out a little bit. Can you replace side projects certain certs? I mean, you could. Everyone's gonna have a different requirement. What I would say is like, why don't you build side projects? Because like that's the fun stuff, and that's the stuff that's most impressive to certain developers. And if you have both, that's what your goal should be. So why do I say a lot of devs are bad? Because a lot of devs are. They repeat even the developers that have 20 years have repeated the first year 20 times a lot of times, and that's more common than not. And I've sat in 100 interviews where I ask someone to divide evenly by a number, and they can't do it. They can't write the code on the whiteboard. I'm talking about a for loop, an if statement. For loop and if statement. They can't write a for loop or an if statement. I've sat there and had people with 4 or 5 years experience tell me I don't really write for loops. What? One more time. I don't really write for loops? Bro. I don't really breathe oxygen either anymore, apparently. None of us do anything anymore. There's not a shortage of bad developers. There's a reason why. Do you know what a front end developer in the Tampa area makes? All right, let's see here. I'm pulling it up real quick. All right, you know what the average salary? You know what the average salary for a front end developer in Tampa is? 65,000. You know how much I make? Base 115. With bonus, it'll be close to 130, and there's other benefits. Let's say closer to 140, 145. Why do you think that is? Why do you think when the average base salary in the Tampa market, where I'm located, is $65,000 for a front end developer? Do you know why? Because the average developer is hot garbage. The average developer doesn't go and get better. The average developer gets that first junior level job and never does anything else. That's what the average developer does. They never go and learn. They never go and get better. They never say, you know what? I want to write better code. I want to write cleaner code. I want to code like a professional. They say, I want to learn. I don't want to learn proper object-oriented programming. I don't want to learn proper functional programming. I don't want to learn about the solid principles. I don't want to learn about how to write clean architecture and really dive deep into model view controller. I don't want to learn any of that. What I want to do is collect checks, copy and paste code off the internet, and never create anything of my own. That's what I want to do, and I want to get paid very well. $65,000. It's a decent amount of money. The average family makes like 50, 55. So you're getting 65K. Bam, you're doing good. It's not bad. It's not 130K. It's not 140K. It's not 115K. 65K ain't nothing to sniff at. And you say, Dylan, that's because you have tons of years of experience. I have 2.5 years experience, almost 3. So when I say, who can't write for loops? People who make, 50K, 65K. That's who can't write for loops. That's the average developer. I have people call me all the time, say, "Hey, we saw you're on the market. We got to roll for 80K," and they think, they're gonna buy me. You just gotta keep applying, Robert, or our storms. How do you learn these more advanced concepts? Books, videos, projects, implementing them. Here's the thing: you just gotta every day make an active effort to get better. That's it. It doesn't even necessarily have to mean these higher level concepts. A lot of these people who have 5 years experience and making 65K. A lot of those people can't write a for loop on a whiteboard. You ask them, they say, "Yeah, what's your main programming language? JavaScript, great. You code in JavaScript a lot, yeah. Okay, what's constant let? I don't know. I haven't really used it. All right, you up to date in JavaScript? Yeah. Okay. you know, you say, "Hey, how comfortable are you with asynchronous code?" Not too much. You never used APIs before? No, not really. What? What do you do if you don't use APIs? But this is the reality. So when I tell you there is not a shortage of devs, it is the truth. There is a shortage of good developers. Um, where do you go to stay up to date with the language? Like if some changes happen. I mean, there's so many blogs I subscribe to and YouTube channels and Facebook groups. So that's pretty much it for me right now. Have I tried investing in stocks? Yeah, I did before I bought my house like 9 months ago. I haven't done it since. I should go back into it. I'm going to pretty soon. I'm actually going to start doing finance videos on the channel. Just like little things like, oh, hey, here's my quarterly update on Acorns. I invested money and this and that and moving forward. Have you found people who don't want to learn more stuff even though their experience is just like coasting and playing office politics? Yeah, of course. I'm not saying people I've worked with, but it's clearly evident that like you interview people with 15 years experience and they just think you should give them a job. And someone will. I won't. Somebody will. And it's the same thing. 0 years experience. I don't care how many years experience you have. We're going to hire you to be a senior dev if you can do it. I couldn't find anything in Los Angeles. Would you say Tampa is a great location for new grads? I'd say it's pretty good, man. As for developers, I can't speak to new grads. It's a place I got my first job, and I know Florida's been blowing up lately. So, what do you think about Trump.js? I don't know anything about it. I'm gonna look it up right now, though. Make the web great again. Oh my goodness. What's this? What does it even do? Let's see down. though. It could be better. It's not too bad though. Um, but yeah, I'll be investing in stocks again shortly. When being interviewed, what sort of questions do you ask at the end? I like to ask them if I'm doing a technical interview, how they might refactor it, if there's a way to refactor it. I'm afraid to leave Philly because if I feel like the market is going to blow up soon. Um, I mean, I don't know anything about the Philly market. What I would tell you, the same thing I told myself, is that if I want to go back, it'll be easier once I have the money and the experience. Is it true that most front-end devs use CSS preprocessors? I would say yes. Jose Gonzalez, thank God we have a mod in here. Keep us all together. Do most companies not hire new grads as interns? It depends on the company. I haven't. Honestly, my honest answer is I think most companies just want senior developers. And so if you're gonna already have to be a developer that knows how to code. No one's gonna really take their time with you. There's exceptions to that rule, but that's the easier way of getting hired, is just going and getting good. Yeah. So I've mentioned this as well, as that you should go and get Scrum and Agile certifications, because pretty much every company you're going to work at is going to have that, and it's going to be something organizations are going to check for and HR is going to check for. Are there spots that are for part time? Because I don't think I can go back for 60 hours a week. You shouldn't. No dev job should have you working 60 hours a week. I would say 90% of all jobs, 95% are going to be full time. A lot of companies don't really like the whole part-time aspect. They want you to be in it to win it. Not always the case, but I'd say more often than not. Yeah, Dylan, I'm looking at a job listing for a junior PHP developer. Say problem solving 7 years required. How can I get that experience? Just ignore it. You know, this is somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're doing. Have you been We all been solving problems all our life. I did many years of school. We all did it. How long did it take you to get CSS? I'll tell you when it happens, man. What I'll be doing at my new job, I don't know yet, man. It's a new project. It's one of the world's largest consulting agencies, so I imagine a lot of different things over time. Do you think a master's of computer science or software engineering is worth it? I think it helps. I think it depends on what you want to do. Yeah, you definitely want to fit in with a. You must. You definitely want to fit in with a workplace culture. It's going to be a good reason to keep you, a good reason to promote you, just a better time for you. How much should one save before investing in the stock market? You can pretty much get started right away. I would encourage you to get started investing earlier rather than later, to the sort of the law of compound interest. And also, you're probably broker now than you will be in the future. So any mistakes you make will the upside of it is it may hurt a lot now, but in the long term scheme of things, it won't hurt as much. So you get started with $50. The main problem with CSS is that it's one of the first things people learn, and it's one of the first things that it's one of the first things people learn, and there's not a very high respect for it unless you're into UI UX, and because it's that one of those first things to learn, you don't go back and learn it properly, and you never learned it properly, and so you just learn enough to get by. Start with a new company and pay for you to do a master's stipend wage, or start as a graduate. Graduate pay was better. Graduate. That'd be my go-to. And I would just leave for more money after a little while. But go find someone willing to pay for your master's. What are your hobbies related not to your profession? I have very few. My dog, my girlfriend, a little bit of gaming here or there. What tech stack do I use for personal projects? Full stack JavaScript. I never updated my portfolio site. I need to be able to do everything on Dribble. Let's see, what's Dribble? Can I create everything on here? I mean, given time, yeah. Here's the thing: is you can look at all this and do all of it given enough time. Like a lot of these, like there's one thing here of this CSS project that that might be a little hard, but yeah, I mean, I can make most of this. The CSS stuff would be kind of hard though. Do you need to be able to create all this? No, but it helps. Have I done all this? No, but I have the skills to learn and get better. A lot of people I've worked with and that have been data science have masters. Can I talk about how I landed my first internship in LA? I put my resume up on Craigslist. There's a resume section, and I got called. That's how I landed it. All right, guys. We've been going a little less than an hour. I want to thank our one donator earlier, Syed, who donated 200 rubies, if I got the currency correct. I think that's right. It is appreciated. Thank you so much. Your hard-earned money goes towards helping me plan for my future. I'm not wasting it. I'm helping pay off the house earlier or investing it. So thank you so much. Helps me out. As always, thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week and have some new videos for you. And see you guys next time. Oh, and if you're interested in any of my courses, like the 100 Algorithm Challenge to help get you prepped for your technical interviews, check the description below where you can get it for just $10. That's right, just 10 cents an algorithm. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. People didn't say it couldn't be true, but just 10 cents an algorithm, it can be yours. With that being said, guys, I hope you have a fantastic weekend. See you guys next time. Bye.